Yesterday, frontline analysis confirmed the systematic success of a Ukrainian defensive strategy in the vital Pokrovsk sector, now known as the Roads of Death. This doctrine utilizes continuous 24/7 drone surveillance to transform crucial Russian ground lines of communication into deadly kill zones. The strategy's primary goal is not to win a direct confrontation, but to sever the logistical supply lines of the Russian assault force. This campaign of attrition is reportedly inflicting severe equipment and personnel losses, significantly weakening Russia's capacity to organize large-scale mechanized assaults and compelling a complete strategic reassessment. The city of Pokrovsk remains a principal operational target for Russian forces. Capturing it would provide a significant logistical and strategic advantage, opening up new routes for advancement. This objective is complicated by Russian military doctrine's fundamental reliance on mechanized units. These fleets of tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, and self-propelled artillery are dependent on secure road networks for movement, resupply, and staging operations. Ukrainian Command, identifying this critical vulnerability, has prioritized the interdiction of these ground lines of communication, or GLOCs, rather than engaging the estimated 110,000-strong Russian force in a costly frontal assault. Ukraine has adopted a sophisticated strategy of logistical attrition. The objective is to weaken the entire grouping by effectively starving it of essential supplies, like fuel, ammunition, spare parts, and troop replacements. Recent reports confirm that this strategy is proving highly effective. Multiple Russian offensives have reportedly collapsed before they could be fully initiated, as their staging areas were cut off and their armored columns were prevented from reaching the front lines. This Roads of Death strategy is carried out by specialized Ukrainian drone units, working in continuous, overlapping shifts. These teams maintain constant surveillance, ensuring every meter of key roadways is monitored. This is not passive reconnaissance, these are active hunter-killer missions. The operational directive for these units is to track and eliminate all movement associated with Russian forces. While the psychological impact on Russian troops is considerable, the material impact is proving decisive. This persistent aerial interdiction campaign has established a formidable barrier, forcing Russian commanders to search for alternatives as their primary assault plans become tactically unworkable. The strategy's effectiveness is best illustrated by specific tactical engagements reported recently. Russian forces made several attempts to move assets under the cover of darkness, presumably believing the night would offer concealment from observation. At approximately 2:17 a.m., a Ukrainian surveillance drone identified a single Russian UAZ utility van, a common non-armored soft-skin vehicle, attempting to move quickly along a known arterial road. These vehicles are vital for last-mile logistics, delivering ammunition, rations, or high-value personnel like officers. An FPV strike drone was immediately guided to the target. Geolocated footage, analyzed later, reveals significant operator skill. The drone operator navigated the system directly through the van's open side window before detonation. This resulted in a complete internal explosion, destroying the vehicle, its occupants, and its cargo. Later, at approximately 3:05 a.m., the same drone network located a much higher value target, a T-80 main battle tank. The 42-ton, or 93,200-pound vehicle was moving along the road, likely advancing to a forward firing position for a future infantry assault. The T-80 was not unprotected. It was visibly equipped with electronic warfare jammers and a field-modified cope cage, which is a layer of slat armor welded to the turret. These countermeasures were proven insufficient. A Ukrainian drone team, likely coordinating to circumvent the jamming, successfully engaged and destroyed the tank. This strike contributes to the over 11,200 tanks Ukraine claims to have destroyed since the full-scale invasion, and it exemplifies the kill zone's effectiveness against even heavy armor. The T-80's destruction, despite its protective measures, highlights a critical and persistent failure in Russian adaptation. The cope cage has become symbolic of Russia's reactive, and often improvised, attempts to counter Ukraine's drone superiority. These improvised armors, which range from simple metal cages and netting to makeshift barriers of wood, are designed to prematurely detonate the shaped charge warheads of FPV drones before they can strike the tank's main armor. Although the theory is sound, its practical application, as seen in this incident, remains flawed. These cages often fail to stop a skilled drone operator who can target gaps in the armor, or they are simply stripped away by an initial drone, which allows a follow-up strike on the exposed point. An August report from Business Insider noted one outlier: a heavily modified monster tank. It was so covered in cages and countermeasures that it reportedly required a saturation attack by 60 separate FPV drones to be neutralized. While this might seem like a success for the modification, it represents a tactical dead end. The extreme weight and bulk of the added armor made the tank almost immobile, effectively turning it from a mobile weapon into a static pillbox. It could not perform evasive maneuvers or relocate, illustrating a critical flaw. In an effort to protect their tanks, Russian forces are sacrificing the very mobility that defines them. The T-80 destroyed near Pokrovsk confirms that for standard mobile operations, these cages offer a false sense of security, not a dependable solution. The targets of the Roads of Death campaign are not limited to high-value armor. Ukrainian drone operators are systematically eliminating all logistical vehicles, regardless of their type. The target list has expanded to include standard supply vans, civilian pickup trucks, motorcycles, and even individual soldiers trying to carry small amounts of supplies by hand. This highly detailed level of interdiction points to a systemic crisis within the Russian military, specifically the severe degradation of its dedicated transport fleet. Following years of heavy losses, Russia appears increasingly unable to use specialized armored personnel carriers or infantry fighting vehicles for basic logistical tasks. This assessment is corroborated by external analysis. Military correspondent David Axe, writing in March, was among the first to highlight Russia's increasing reliance on civilian vehicles. He cited one survey from February claiming that civilian models, such as cars, ATVs, and even golf carts, made up a striking 70% of all Russian vehicle losses that month. By May 2024, Axe, in his Trench Art column, estimated this figure had risen to 90%. This is not a deliberate Russian tactic to preserve its armored vehicles. It is understood to be a stopgap measure resulting from a critical shortage of military-grade transport. These civilian vehicles possess no armor, lack any defensive countermeasures, and are completely vulnerable to the same FPV drones that have proven capable of destroying main battle tanks. Even Russia's attempt to innovate using motorcycles has reportedly failed. As CNN reported in April, Russian command theorized that the speed and agility of motorcycles would make them difficult targets for drones. Propaganda videos were circulated showing soldiers practicing assaults in small teams. This theory, however, has been disproven. The riders are completely exposed, and drones operating from high altitude or ambush positions can easily track and eliminate them. The visual result, according to frontline reports, is a grim landscape. The roads of death are described as being littered with twisted metal, burning wrecks, and craters every few meters. Perhaps the most critical assessment of the Pokrovsk situation is that this is not the first time Russian forces have encountered this exact strategy, and they have apparently failed to adapt to it. The first precedent occurred in Kursk Oblast in recent months. After a successful Ukrainian incursion, Russian forces launched a counter-offensive. Ukraine responded by implementing the Roads of Death playbook. An October report from Militarny detailed how one 8.7-mile or 14-kilometer stretch of the Snagost-Zeleny Shliak highway was turned into a kill zone. In just a few weeks, over 30 units of Russian heavy equipment were documented as destroyed on that single road, including 9 APCs, 12 IFVs, 5 armored vehicles, and 3 tanks. The second precedent was on the Pokrovsk western flank, just this summer. The tactic was employed in the same operational area months ago. Video analysis from July 2024 identified a 5-mile or 8-kilometer road connecting the settlements of Zovt, Novopustinka, and Pustnica. This road became another death trap, with over 140 destroyed Russian tanks, armored vehicles, and civilian transports documented along its length. This calculates to an average of 28.5 destroyed vehicles for every mile. This history indicates a significant failure in Russian command, intelligence, and adaptation. Russian commanders appear either incapable of circulating these critical tactical lessons or are so pressed to maintain supply flow that they are knowingly and repeatedly ordering their troops into these established, pre-sited kill zones. The refinement and success of this doctrine in Pokrovsk are widely credited to the direct oversight of Commander Robert Brovdy, known by the call sign Magyar. Brovdy, who was a businessman and entrepreneur before the full-scale invasion, volunteered for the Territorial Defense Forces in February 2022. He has since become a key figure in Ukraine's drone-centric warfare, rising to the rank of commander of the unmanned systems of the armed forces of Ukraine. His service has earned him one of the nation's highest military honors from President Volodymyr Zelensky. Brovdy's doctrine, reported by Euromaidan Press, is straightforward. Total drone dominance stretching over a dozen kilometers behind the front line, with every meter of road under observation, every vehicle tracked, and every movement punished immediately. His expertise is considered central to the operation's effectiveness. As of recently, the battlefield is evolving once more. The roads of death have been so effective that Russian vehicle movement has been almost entirely stopped. Unable to conduct mechanized assaults, Russia has been forced to shift its tactics. RBC Ukraine reported on this shift in September, and recent analysis from the 7th Army Corps of the Air Assault Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine confirms it. Russia is now deploying small, infiltration-focused fire teams, often with 3 soldiers or fewer. Their objective, according to the 7th Army Corps, is to get as close as possible to the positions of drone operators or mortar crews, and try to disperse our defense forces. In effect, Russia has shifted from targeting Pokrovsk to targeting the drone operators who are defending it. In response, Commander Brovdy has reportedly issued a counter-order. With Russian vehicles largely neutralized, Ukrainian drones are now prioritizing Russian infantry. Drone operators in the Pokrovsk sector have allegedly been assigned minimum monthly kill rates. The strategic objective is to ensure that the attrition rate of Russian infantry surpasses Russia's ability to mobilize and deploy new soldiers. This has initiated a new fluid cycle of actions and counteractions. Russia's summer campaign to seize Pokrovsk has not succeeded. Recent analysis confirms the roads of death strategy was a primary factor in this failure. The Kremlin's stated deadline for capturing the entire Donbas region has reportedly been delayed from September to November. According to a statement from President Zelensky, Russia is reacting to heavy losses near Dobropilya by ordering its forces to take Pokrovsk urgently at any cost. This directive signals a new, more desperate phase. It will likely involve sending more waves of poorly supplied Russian infantry into the very sectors that Ukrainian drone operators, under Magyar's command, have transformed into highly efficient kill zones. The roads of death are no longer just interdicting logistics. They have now become the front line in a grueling battle of attrition.